Okay, hello. This is going to be a sort of video guide for 100% speedruns on the latest update of Pseudoregalia, specifically no major glitches, so no out of bounds stuff. Quite a few people have, I think, expressed interest in this category, but not really. Just because of the length of it compared to any percent seems a bit more intimidating. There's not as many materials for it. In terms of tech, there isn't much more than you would need for any percent, but it does sort of rely on you maybe being a bit more experienced in general with the game. So anyone could really jump into this category before any percent if they wanted to, but any percent is definitely a smoother way to start running this game. But yeah, this is just, I'm just sort of going to run through the routes and show, I'm going to run through what is right now considered the fastest route, which is subject to change at some point, potentially. But yeah, the top two fastest times use this route. And so I'm going to go through that and just show lots of different ways of doing different rooms, basically. Because I have run this category a lot. It's probably my favorite category in the game, and I want more people to run it, but I do understand the slight intimidation. So I'm going to try and show off lots of different ways that I've learned how to do different parts of it, and hopefully make it easier for people to get through. So skip the cutscene. I just need to set my controls real quick. Okay, so if you have done any percent, this run does start out quite similar. In fact, for quite a while it is very similar with some slight detours, and then it starts branching off a little bit. I should say as well, actually, in terms of tech, I would recommend watching the sort of beginner's guide for any percent by Not Jackaroo, because they go over a bunch of the tech really well. And if there's any tech in here in this run that isn't covered in those videos, then I will try to explain it as best I can, but otherwise I will kind of just assume that you have watched that video and you know all of that tech. So with this wall, hit it in combos of 2 because the third attack Sybil does with June Break has a bit of end lag. Kill Joshua for some magic. It's free. That door you can hit 3 times. Same as any old run at the start of this game. Do a gainer onto this cage. You can jump up onto the cage like this. If you want a really minor time save, you can just jump immediately from there. But you do have to make sure you're not pressing any direction when you jump off the cage here. Do a nice coyote jump off of that ledge. that. Over here, break this. You can either just walk ahead and climb the pole, or you can do the Super Mario, which is walk along this ledge, jump into that sort of curved surface, and use that. Well, easy to get some speed. That was a bit better, but I messed it up anyway, but you get the idea. You would grab the sledge. It's a little tricky to do. It takes a good bit of practice. Don't worry if you can't get it. Then we get the slide. So, ultra up here, and just start making your way through the dungeon. There's nothing really too technical here. You'll get used to this area quite a lot. And then here, we want to come in here and get the, because we want the small key. There's usually a boss that spawns in, which you need to defeat to be able to get the key. But these lines here, they show hitboxes. What is my... That's area reload. Save reload, okay. So if you walk underneath this, that happens. But we don't want to do that. And I didn't save my Dream Breaker, that's fine. Save my Dream Breaker or my slide. Okay. So if you go over this, you can slide ultra over it like that. Not trigger the fight. Come over here. Do it again. It's not too bad to get over this. If you imagine, like, you can see, like, when you can't see the boxes, if you look for generally the top of these torches, that's sort of where you don't want to hit. You can also do a CSJ over them, which is a little faster. The ultra is the safest thing. Or even if you come in here bunny hopping, you can do that as well. But then you want to come up here and take the secret passage. Just get out of library. If you're not comfortable with CSJs, don't do a CSJ on here, because it's very sad when you fall down. I don't want this to be too long, so I'm not going to go over just very general movement stuff. But the first thing you want to do is make sure you don't forget the map. If you're starting out with this category and you're worried about missing something, like potentially not collecting everything, it does help to just make a split for every single item, whether that's like copying someone else's splits. And then you'll know if something was messed up by the end, because the auto splitter should be doing things correctly for you. This is Comic Sans, where Dennis the Menace likes to mess with people. So, if you want to, you can. It's a little tricky to do, but generally in this area and sort of throughout the run, if the enemies are placed right, you can hit them as you're going past them and build up a little bit more magic. And the reason this is important is because of indignation we're collecting here. So, when we get to level 2, you get more range. When you get to level 3, you get more damage. This is mostly useful for the princess fight at the end, so we kind of want to go into the princess fight with as much magic as possible. there are going to be easy ways to get magic later on, but just to let you know of a sort of more advanced technique that I don't really do that much, but some players do. You can sort of hit enemies like that. Even though we already got a key, we want to get another one because we need more keys in this category. The first one being right here for the time trial. I've got a timer mod on from when I last practiced this, apparently. This one's quite simple. There's not really anything to explain here. You should be able to practice this quite easily. When you're coming off of this platform, you can slide off like this. Or if you are really good at CSJs, you can do this. And you can actually get a good enough CSJ to not even have to grab the ledge. And that feels pretty good when you do that. Make sure you come back in here and get the outfit. Then just head on over to the library. This can be a little tricky. So ideally, you'll be doing a glide hop, or you'll have enough momentum from the previous rooms. I like to do a CSJ off of here, and if it was faster than that, I would just carry that bunny hop all the way over. Yeah, ideally you're doing that, and then you do a slide ultra like this to get up onto this ledge. But if you get to here and you're not in a bunny hop, that's not the end of everything. It is tight, but you can get a slide ultra off of this cage if you line it up quite well. So diagonally here to get as much space as possible. That is a thing you can do. So it's not the end of the world if you don't get a bunny hop there. As you jump up this ledge, you can hit the wall twice when you land, then jump and hit it again. General thing about doing attacks with the Dream Breaker and breaking breakable walls. If you start swinging and then you hit the ground shortly afterwards, then the attack won't connect with the wall. It will just act like it didn't happen. So if you ever wonder why your attacks are not hitting the walls, that is why. You just need to adjust when you are doing the attack to make sure that doesn't happen. So next on to library. We want to do the library time trial because it's right here. You can do an ultra up here and then one like here. Or if you're really cracked at doing library, you can chain ultras. This is really hard to do though. Close, but you get the idea. So for this time trial, first thing is do an ultra off of this platform here to get this one. This is a little tight. It can be slightly easier if you do it here, just less distance, but this, you do need to do this quite close to the ledge to be able to get this bubble. But even if you don't get it, that's fine. You might end up down here, in which case you can get up back like this. And when you're at this point, just do something like that. Then this, you want to come over here. I like to do a CSJ or pull down. This is probably the hardest part of the time trial, is sliding off of this. It's getting that one above the door frame. So the best way to do this, or the fastest way to do this, is to slide off of this bookshelf, land on the lower one, and then do a slide ultra. And land on this one. this is quite difficult, and I remember when I was learning, it took me a while to be able to do, so don't worry about it too much. It's kind of sort of awkward, like if you miss that one, it can be awkward to back up. Like you can get back on here. Actually, I don't know if you can just jump and get it from there. So let's say you miss it. No, you might be able to do like a really tight gainer, but you might be tempted to try and do like a slide like that, which you can do, but that's really tight. Best thing I can recommend is to get back up on here and try to do that. This one's really simple, just jump to get it. Ultra up here. Then you can either jump off of this, or you can do a CSJ. These last ones are not, there's not really much to them, to be honest. Just sort of vaguely copy what I'm doing. And then go back up and get the costume. I might as well show what it looks like. Should I? It's a short one. Probably won't do this for all of them. Oh, and if you do this quite well, you can do an ultra and get the bubble and also grab the bookshelf. I'm not going to showcase all of the time trials like that because there are runs on speedrun.com that you can watch. But yeah, then you come through here and get some greaves. Make sure to hit it, do 2 combos of 2 here, and if you want to avoid the glitch where you the prompt stays up on your screen, try not to approach it directly like this. Try coming at it from sort of the back side and walk into it in like sort of a curve. That tends to stop it from happening. Then this will actually save her. Yeah, up here, and we have the library warp. Just save my position here. So this is the first respawn trigger box that we've seen since we came into the library. So if we were to fall into the pit right now, we would just get sent back to the start. This is meant to make sure that if you fall off here, you will land up back around here. But we can skip that and do that. Now, this is way more useful in any percent because when you come here in any percent, you get the sun greaves and you just leave, and that's all you wanted to do here. But it's a bit more complicated in 100%. In any percent, that saves like 10 to 15 seconds, I think. The alternative, so before we found this, you would come through here, get up here, and there's a few ways to do this room, but one of the best ways is to either here or on here, do a slide ultra, and just do some shallow kicks along the wall to make your way over. And you would come down here and there's a bunch of eggs, which, as I said earlier, we kind of want our magic meter to be high at the very end of the run, at least for the princess fight. It does also benefit us in terms of breaking breakable walls, to have more damage early on, because then the walls will take less hits. So we would do this and kill the eggs for a bunch of magic, and then come around here to get this. Now that we have Library Warp, it is a little bit faster to do it, respawn around here, and then continue doing the rest of Library. And so the first thing you want to do is get up there. And sort of the only way to make Library Warp save time is if you can get a glide hop here, or you can just sort of come down here and do an ultra off of this rail. It's not quite as thin as it looks, but it is pretty thin. And get on top of the bookshelf. There are other ways, like you can do some funky stuff to use the door frame and stuff, but this is really the best way. I'm not great at glide hops, so sorry if I can't really showcase how that works. Or rather, sometimes I'm good at them, sometimes I'm horrendous, and right now is not really the right time. But you would do a glide hop here, and get up on here like this. And then you can do another. So that does save a little bit of time compared to going that way. However, the advantage of going this way is you get the instant magic, which saves a little bit of time on some breakable walls, and it will also save you time on getting magic later on. There are some areas later on where there's more eggs grouped up, but they're not quite as good as that one. You have to stop twice. So I would basically say, do the Library Warp if you're comfortable with this Rail Ultra. But if you're not, then don't do it. It's probably going to lose you time on average compared to going through this whole area and hitting these eggs for magic. I don't know that for sure. I haven't exhaustively timed everything, and it does vary per person, but it's just the sort of feeling I get after having run through this area quite a lot. So yeah, we want to come into here, then we want to get up on that ledge over there. So do an ultra. I should say, now that we have the kicks, it's very useful to just use them to get further places. It's also kind of good to build up a habit of whenever you kick in midair, do an attack immediately afterwards. That way you're not going to accidentally kick off of a wall that you don't want to. It does happen. And we can do another one here. If you're feeling a little spicy, then you can do a CSJ off of here and then kick to make it over as well, which is slightly faster. If you doing either of these jumps, either this one or the next one, if you fail it and you fall down, don't go all the way back. Just come over to this place here and either using normal kicks like this, you can get up here, or you can use reverse wall kicks if you're comfortable with those. When you're here, just do the same thing but backwards. You fall down here, this is a little bit awkward to recover from, but You can do kicks like that, or really just a lot of backups in this game you need to improvise, but when they happen a lot, you can come up with some reliable ones. Then I want to come down here and break this area. You can do slide ultras. If you're not quite making the distance, you can kick off of the walls. You can also do the same thing with CSJs. I think those are slightly faster, but I'm not 100% sure. I think it's quite negligible, because oftentimes you will grab the ledge if you CSJ. With the ultra you don't, but they're slightly slower. I would just say do whatever's comfortable to you. This one's a little tighter, I think. Actually, maybe not. It just feels that way for some reason. Yeah, and again, ultra, you'll most likely need to use your kick for this one. CSJ works too. Or if you really want to, you can go along the sides. And then we're going to leave the library. And we just want to make our way to Bailey so that we can go to Tower. But we have to come through this way because there is an item that we want to pick up along the way. And this box here, it's quite important that you enter this box. It can be a little easy to almost ignore it. But you can use this torch as a visual cue. Just make sure you sort of at least run past it before you do this area. This is sort of designed for Cling Gem, but it's not too bad to do with kicks. You can do ultras, go around the corner, get the health piece. And then when you've done that, you just immediately slide off and you will be right here. And then you can continue do a slide ultra here and kick your way across. Or you can do a CSJ. You'll need to do 2 kicks. I think it is slightly faster though. Then we want to get up here, and this can be a bit of a learning block for some people. This is quite tricky. There's two ways of doing this really. One involves reverse wall kicks, which is worth learning, because reverse wall kicks, especially in 100%, are extremely useful. But there is also a method for without reverse wall kicks if you can't quite do these well enough, because this one is pretty tight. Like, that's not super easy to do. Instead, you can do the method like this. So you want to just kick straight forward, then off of that wall on the left, and then kick parallel to this wall as much as you can, so that you sort of ride along it and get that ledge. Like that. Then you just want to get up here, which you can do like that. Or if you are good at glide hops, you can do this. That is faster. So you skip the ledge grab. Or if you're... This is mainly a sort of keyboard and mouse sort of trick, so I'm not going to be able to show it off, but if you watch Hyro's runs, they will do this trick where it involves using first person to go up here, and when you're sort of around here, you go into first person, quickly turn around and do a kick, and you will do a sort of reverse kick and skip over the ledge, and that's quite fast as well. But it is quite difficult to do, and I don't think anyone playing on controller or using a stick for camera is really doing tricks like that, unless your name is Gloomy. But yeah, now we want to move on to tower. So first we need to get up on that ledge there. There's a few ways of doing this. The easiest way is to do a slide ultra here and kick 3 times off these pillars. There's a harder... well, I think what I used to do was I used to use the back side of this pillar. So I get up on this height here, do this, and then do 3 reverse wall kicks like that. If you're bunny hopping along the way, you can sort of do something like that. But to be honest, that's not much faster than just doing it a much easier way like this. In fact, this is probably faster. But the fastest thing you can do is go straight up this pillar with reverse wall kicks, and then angle your final wall kick towards the right to get that ledge right there. Like that. That's pretty hard to do, especially if you're not good with angled wall kicks. You do need to get like good, decent inputs on here. Like you need a decent amount of height. And then you need to also make sure you're going the right way. But if you're not good with angled wall kicks, just do it this way. It's not much slower at all. Then here, the easiest way to go through here would be to jump over here, walk here, just climb, get up on top of the hole, do that. You don't even have to get to the top of the hole, you can just use a kick. Or once you're here, you can do a slide ultra so you get to this a little quicker, and then go. The fastest thing you can do is firstly get up on there, so you can do a CSJ and then ultra up like that, but sometimes it might fail, in which case you can just do that. You do sort of have to clear this ledge. If you like grab that, you just get pushed off most of the time. Yeah, super fast way. It's like this, and then you want to get up there with a slide ultra. This isn't as janky as it looks. You just need enough space, and since this surface is sloped, there's more space than it looks like. So you want to do a slide ultra and then kick off the walls like this. Cancelling your kick with an attack is, I'd say, almost essential there. Yeah. And then once you're here, you can do another slide ultra. Using the, just using the diagonals of the platforms to give yourself enough space to do an ultra and get up here. You can also just use kicks as well, if you want. And then here, so we want to get Cling Gem over there. There's a few ways of doing it. Probably the easiest way, probably the easiest way is to get up there, do an ultra off of here, and then we have kicks to help us. It's possible without kicks. Some categories you have to do that. But the kick makes it a lot easier. If possible, try to avoid grabbing the ledge of this corner here, because sometimes Sybil just won't grab it, because ledge grabs are very interesting in this game. If you want to learn more about them, you can ask anyone, because a lot goes into how Sybil can grab a ledge, and some ledges, including that one, have weird properties and they won't always grab your ledges. So ideally, try to aim for this one instead if you can, not this sort of diagonal. And then you would just jump over here. The next easiest way, which is a little faster, is to come over here and do an ultra and a kick across the gap in the middle. I find if you line Sybil up with this ledge here, this works quite well. So after the ultra, you sort of turn towards the Cling Gem and then do a kick. It might be possible to do a CSG. Yeah. You can do that if you want. I think the ultra's much safer. And then the true sort of fastest way is to slide off of this ledge and do some bunny hops to then ultra across. Sort of like this. I don't really have a consistent setup for this. I've just sort of done it enough that I make sure I'm sliding off to get as much speed as possible and then manage my jumps from there. The one thing I will say is I recommend doing a slide instead of a CSJ off of this, because I find the CSJ, it just gives you worse patterns and speeds in terms of lining up this particular jump, at least in my case. So if you're struggling with it, maybe just try sliding. If you do try this, and then you get to sort of around here and you realize your positioning isn't great or your speed isn't great and it's not going to work, just stop and do the backup like this. And then grab Cling Gem. Now, after we get Cling Gem, we're not going to leave immediately. We actually want to get to the top of the tower. Because we want to open up the time trial cage for when we come back. So, do an ultra onto this ledge, like this. Don't do it on the corners, because Sybil gets funky. You could also do it this way, I suppose. And then this is quite tricky. this is sort of the only way that I know to get up here. Doing an ultra off of this frame and clinging along here and jumping around that corner. Now you might not get great enough height to do that. Might be around here, in which case do some climbing in the corner. That can help. And then jump around. Yeah, or get creative with some kicks. And then jump over here, cling around this. Something a little faster. Once you get here, you can do an ultra here. And just come around to the pole. Come over here and hit this lever. And get the key. Now, there is a bit of a branching point here. There's two things you can do from here. One is to just jump off the tower, grab the key in the process, and just go. The only thing about this is that it's not going to open the gate down at the bottom. So when you come back, you're going to have to climb the tower again. Now, if you climb the tower the way that we just did, that is not very fast. Like, because the other option is to grab this key, drop down here, do this, open this, and you can see that's not very, that didn't take a lot of time. And overall, doing that and then being able to come back here and just take this elevator back up to the tower when we come back at the end of the run, that's going to be quite fast. But jumping off and doing this is a little bit faster if you can do a tough tower climb at the end of the run. So you'll just have to like either skip to that part or wait until the end of the guide to decide which one you want to do. And I'll talk a little bit more about it once we get to that point. But for now, we just want to leave. Sorry, let's take a little break there because I am not used to talking this much. I was just giving my voice a bit of a rest. So now we're going to clear out the Bailey, and we'll start by getting the item up on the bell tower, and also hitting the lever to unlock the time trial. So we want to use this wall, and there's two main ways of getting up there. The easier way is to like this. I'm not sure why my playing button. The controls must have messed up when I do not have cling. I must have reloaded without cling. Okay. So yeah, cling along the wall, then do a kick and attack cancel back on it, and then use the rest of your clings to climb up. This can be a little tight. You need to use 2 clings to get over to the corner. And you want to jump into the corner and use the rest of the 4 clings. If you are particularly low, then just make sure to space out your clings, because you can cling climb really fast like this, but you don't get quite as much height. If you space them out, you can see Sybil gets a lot more height out of each one. It's just a little slower, but if you need to do it to save yourself from falling down completely, because falling down here is quite annoying. You have to go all the way back up. It can be quite a frustrating mistake. The other way is if you are, it's a little faster, but it is quite a more challenging technique, and it's using angled wall kicks, angled reverse wall kicks. Gets you a lot more height immediately, and you don't need to climb the corner. I can't really explain how to do these very well. It's something that I just sort of learned by watching other people play and trying to mimic it and experimenting with different inputs and building up muscle memory. And it also sort of, it depends a little bit. It varies a bit if you're on keyboard or controller. Keyboard, if you're only using 4 inputs, you have to make clever use of the camera to be able to do something like this. But with a stick. It's not as bad. So yeah, hit this, grab this, ignore that. We're gonna get that during the time trial because there's a time trial bubble right next to it. What you can do if you do a slide ultra here to get this, you can carry your bunny hop a little bit and do another one. Do some reverse wall kicks up here. You can also just, yeah, you don't need to do a reverse wall kick. It's quite tight otherwise, actually. You can do it off this ledge. Grab this one. Then the next one we want to get is up there. You can technically leave this one to last if climbing up this wall is an issue. That's really how you want to do it in Ultra and 3 reverse wall kicks. If you want to be extra fast, as soon as you get up on here, do an Ultra, and you do that, you might even angle your wall kicks to cover more distance. If you really want to get this one now, not at the end, and you don't want to do reverse wall kicks, you can do something like this. Just make use of that corner, kick it, climb it with cling, whatever you want to do. Grab that, and then I'm down here. I will say that this time trial is probably one of the hardest learning blocks in 100% specifically. If you haven't done it a decent amount or just done a lot of the general movement in this game, you might struggle to beat the time trial with enough time, and you have to be able to do that to get the costume and actually complete the run. So what we're gonna do is, during the time trial, come down here and grab Solar Wind. You might want to leave Solar Wind for the end if you're really struggling with the time trial to beat it at the end, under the time. Yeah, the fastest thing to do is to do this, and with enough practice, you will be able to get this time trial done fast enough. But yes, so we have Solar Wind now, and if you play any percent only, then you probably haven't used this. You might not have used it at all in your casual playthrough either. But it's really nice. It lets you get really fast speeds easily without needing to do complicated glide hop inputs. And while glide hops can technically be faster, this is so much more consistent. And the downside is really you can't do slide ultras like you used to off of like really small platforms. You sort of need to give yourself the space to jump like this and then do the ultra like that, which is it's more annoying, but it comes with the added benefit of you can get full gold ultras. I guess they're not technically full gold because that's what they were on the full gold patch. But yeah, faster ultras will now have a gold trail and they're much higher, and that is really useful for the run. There are a lot of areas that just benefit so much from that extra height you get from the ultra. So yeah, do an ultra here, and just kick off the wall, and you can slide here. And then we want to get up there. The easiest way to do this is, you would come here, do an ultra like this, and do some kicks. Or what I do as soon as I'm out of this place, I'll start my Solar Wind jump through this here, and do something like that. Then we want to come over here, grab this one, do this. Missing this one is quite annoying. It can be quite awkward if you miss that, so really try not to. But if you do, you can do something like this maybe. Just like really do some ultras, pick off some walls, you might be able to save it. Yeah, then you want to come over here. You can ignore the hand, it's not going to kill you probably. Jump off of this, do a kick. Get up here like this. Then you want to get this one. And then you want to climb up here. Now there's a few things you can do to make this fast. This is quite finicky, but you can do a Solar Wind jump through here, and then ultra up to grab this. That is not easy. Not too easy to do immediately. Just a lot of it is because this tunnel has a lot of annoying objects and walls. What you can do is walk here. This is a lot easier to get an ultra off. Like that. Or you can do some reverse wall kicks. But yeah, the fastest thing you can do is that. I don't know if I should explain low gravity. I might as well explain low gravity now. So, if you have only run any percent, then there's a good chance you don't know about low gravity state. Essentially, when Sybil jumps out of does a solar wind jump, she has low gravity state for 0.5 seconds. So she doesn't fall down as fast, and that's sort of what makes the solar wind do what it does. But this can be exploited a bit, because for some reason, I don't know why, if you connect a kick into a wall before that 0.5 seconds is up, then the timer will get reset to 0.5. So Sybil will continue to have low gravity for a little bit, and it will affect you as you're kicking upwards off of a wall, like this. You can see that gives you way more height than a normal air kick. You can chain this with reverse wall kicks to really climb walls. There's probably a better place I can show this off. Actually, I'll do it in this corner, without the reverse wall kicks for now. You can see that I went really high. So yeah, anytime you make the kick, the timer resets to 0.5, and you can make another kick in that action before that timer's up to reset it again, and you can chain the low gravity kicks like this to continue getting really high. This can be useful if you just want to climb a wall. Doing a reverse wall kick straight out of solar wind is kind of difficult. Like, sometimes it just doesn't really happen. I think it just has quite precise timing. I'm getting it quite well now, but it can be annoying. But later on, when we get Sunsetter, that will be easier to make use of. But yeah, we are back here. So you can do wall kicks like this, or you can do the low gravity one, or the fastest thing I believe you can do, especially if you did this here. You got here. This is tricky because doing solar wind ultras off of slopes like this is quite annoying to get used to. The timing is very off, but it is a thing you can do. So you can do something like this. But this is quite difficult to do, and I wouldn't blame anyone for not doing it. But it is recoverable if it goes a little bit weird. But yeah, that's the fastest thing you can do. Grab the health piece. And then we want that bubble down there. And there's a few ways to do this. If you get a... I hope that doesn't remove my items again when I reload. If you get like a really good slide off of this ledge, so like just the right distance, you can just fall into that bubble and clear the ledges. Like that. And then you can ultra up immediately. That's the best thing you can do. You might miss, in which case that's fine. You can either, I think just grabbing the ledge like that will get you the bubble, and you can jump off, do what you want. Or you can just, this can be quite awkward if you try this, but you can do kicks around. I tend to go for the full slide because I am decent at getting it, and if I mess up, then I just try to recover it on the fly. And then once you're here, you can do an ultra like this. But I will say, this bubble that I just went through is quite high off of the ground, so if you are too close, like, you want to aim for the very center of the bubble, because the sides of it, if you like pass under like the side, it will be too high for you to get, and it's entirely possible to just miss it, even though it looks like you should have gotten it. You were just like very slightly under. The ultra might mess up, you can cling on the wall. And then there's two ways to do the rest of this. I don't really know which is faster, but I've seen people do both. You can climb the wall like that after you ultra this bubble, and then go along. Or you can make your way across these rooftops. If you're doing this, it's quite fast to just have a single kick and grab the ledge like that. I don't know which one's faster, but I would just do whatever is your preference. Grab this, and that's the last one. In this, you left that one over there, in which case you would go over here. That might be a little bit easier for you. And then after you're done that, you jump down onto the key, come round, get the costume, and then after that, you want to come straight here, slide through here. The way I do this is I will do a solar wind jump through this hole in the floor into the wall and then get a low gravity kick. Like this. It's a little awkward, but it works for me. You can land on this ledge, and then I'll just come over here. There might be other things you can do, but this is quite an awkward little room to deal with. You could do something like that. That actually works quite well. I might start doing that instead. Use kicks, whatever. Slide through here. Grab this ledge, jump straight to this ledge. Grab the key, the lever. You can't really jump up here, and also the walls are annoying. What I do is I'll do a gainer and then kick the wall there. And then we leave. And then we leave. There we go. And we're going to make our way into Keep. Not before we want to get the HP up on the balcony there. So what you can do is you can get an ultra off of these stairs. Just make sure you're starting the ultra on this flat place to give yourself room to actually do the thing, because like if you do it on stairs, Sib lands almost instantly, and it's really hard to, I don't even know if you can pull off an ultra, but it's way harder. And I wouldn't say it's consistent. I've not really tried. But this is what I always do. Do something like this, and then you can either climb that wall like that. That's 2 ledge grabs. Lets you skip the 2 clings. Lets you skip the ledge grab, or you can just do the single one, grab the ledge grab. Not sure which is faster. I always do the second. Over here. And then clear this. You can either give yourself enough room to do it like this, or you can do a CSG if you're... This one does need to be it doesn't need to be a great CSG, but it needs to be like, it can't be a mediocre one. It needs to be a good one if you want to not have to grab the ledge. Yeah, you need to be decent at those for this. We want to go this way. Now, we want to get the item up there. Fastest way to do this is to chain some ultras. So, if you start in this room, that does sort of set you up quite well. Like that. If you mess it up and you're here, just do some kicks. Grab this, turn around. This is a bit awkward. You can try to maybe do the same thing. You need to give yourself a lot of room though. There is also just the pole you can use. Like that. What I try to do, and I think is the fastest thing you can do, is to do some angled kicks and cling on the wall. Like that. That is, feels really fast to me. And it sets you up good to do a solo wind right into this doorway. To which you will come over here. Use a key here. I think that should be... That should have been the last key that I had. I think my saves have messed up a little bit. That item there. Another tricky thing here, this is tricky reverse wall kicks, but it is very fast. The hardest part, honestly, might be getting through this door frame with a jump. You can make it up quite cleanly if you do that a lot better. Otherwise, I just came up with this idea right now actually. You could chain some ultras. That might work pretty well. Give this one more try. Yeah, it's okay. Those are fast ways to do it. Really, you can get up here however you want, and if you're here, a reverse kick will do. Or if reverse wall kick's really on your thing, I guess you can do something like this. But either way, make your way over this way. I said that thing earlier about the attacks cancelling if you hit the floor. When you fall down here to break this wall, the best way you can really do it is to attack once before you hit the ground, then wait till you hit the ground to hit a second time, and then continue as normal. So it's 2 pairs and then 1 free. Then just come over here. I don't know if the kick or the ledge grab is faster. This is, there's a fast way of getting up here that's a little tricky because you just do a sloped ultra here. That works, but I was more thinking of the version where you do a kick up this wall. I think this is the fastest thing you can do. If you do it well. I haven't practiced this in a while. The annoying thing about these walls, you can't kick off here for some reason. Yeah, that works. And now we have Sunsetter, so the first thing I'll say about Sunsetter is it also resets your low gravity timer. So if you want to climb up big walls with low gravity, it's a lot easier now because you can do a normal kick off the wall after the solar wind and then Sunsetter immediately to go back into the wall, at which point it's easier to do the reverse wall kicks. Yeah. It also sort of, like, the most height you can get with this sort of setup is actually with starting with a reverse wall kick and ending on Sunsetter. So if you do 2 reverse wall kicks, 1 normal wall kick, and then Sunsetter. I don't think I did it quite right there, but there'll be a place later on, I'll show it off, where it's actually relevant. But yeah, now we have the plunge. We want to do the key trial. So the easiest way to get up here, I think, is to sunset off the ground, get up this door frame like this, then do some more. That was really weird. Do some more stuff. You can use clings as well. This is quite easy, there's lots of ways to do it. Or you can do an ultra like this. And then from here, this is honestly a little difficult. So, okay, really what you want to do is chain ultras like this. And go into that wall. But you might mess up and mess up this ultra or something, and now you're here. We'll cover that case after I explain the rest, but you want to do some... There's quite a few ways to do this. If you were up here, you can simply just cling across the wall like this. And then reset it if you need to. You can also reset clings with a sunsetter. So technically that lets you reset them twice, although you probably won't need to in most cases. But, so this is what I normally do. So I like to do a kick and a wall and a sunsetter, into some more kicks, finally into a cling. And I like to angle my kicks this way if possible. If you find yourself here, I think what you can do I actually don't remember. There was a backup for this. That works, maybe. You could do a low gravity kick off of this. Climb there to save it, or don't. Yeah, I don't really remember off the top of my head what the best thing to do here is. You could, that works quite well. Okay. But anyway, once you are up there, if you did not do the library warp, then you will probably have magic power by this point. If you did do the library warp, then you probably don't. But this area is the best place to get magic filled up. These two eggs are usually quite close together. Generally, when killing those, you should do 2 hits, and then do a 3-hit combo, because they die in 3 hits, but if the 3rd hit is the start of a combo, the next 2 hits will continue to hit. And that's kind of true for any enemy that dies. If you just keep hitting it, you can continue to get magic off of it indefinitely. So that's a good place to do that. Here, what you want to do is cling off of this wall, jump onto the other wall and hit the lever, and then go around the corner like that. And then you can reset your cling on the wall there with a sunsetter or an attack. And then here's 3 more eggs. And ideally you'll have full magic at this point. I'm not gonna... So here is like the infamous breaker kick. I'm not going to go into detail on this. There is a... I don't really fully understand it myself in terms of how to get it to do it consistently. I just know I have a setup that works for me, and other people have very different setups. But if you don't know, there's a lever down here that breaks this wall, but you can do this. So essentially, Sybil can throw the Dreambreaker. You might not even know that's the thing that she can do. But she can also kick it, and it will target an enemy. And this so happens to be set up so that if you do this in the right place, it will target the knight, go straight through it, and hit the lever, or the switch to open the cage, because the Dreambreaker can also do that when you kick it. And then you will immediately sunset it after you kick it, to fall into the goop and respawn back up here. There is a video. I believe it's Tumara has a video of a tutorial on how to do it, and that's how I learned to do it. So yeah, this is something that you need to practice a lot and find something that that works for you. If you do have questions, you can ask in the Discord. But yeah, once you respawn up here, or if you just came back and you didn't do the breaker kick, I wouldn't recommend doing the breaker kick unless you are consistent at it, because it loses quite a bit of time. But yeah, slide back and then give yourself enough room to do an ultra. You can just make this quite easily with a gold ultra. Come down here. We need to sunset these switches. I recommend doing an ultra here. That's quite a fast way of doing that instead of like jumping, and then having to do another jump and do that. You can... The hitbox on these things is a little tough to figure out, but do it enough times and you'll get a good feel for it. And then we need to go get the keep key. There's quite... if you free your Dreambreaker, you need to get it back at some point. So you can hold B to recall it here. You can actually recall the Dreambreaker while you are moving. So you can do an ultra and immediately start recalling the breaker. That's a really cool thing that you can do. And make your way over to the major key and the time trial. So this time trial, you want to start off with this one here, do an ultra to get to that second platform, like that. You could also use this if you need to. Then get up to the next one. So you can do a CSJ. You might often have to grab this ledge. There is a kind of strange technique you can do. With solar winds, where if you attack as soon as you... It's another low gravity thing, although I don't really do this one very much. But you can do a solar wind jump, immediately attack, because I think attacking also resets the solar wind timer. And then you can do a kick afterwards as soon as you possibly can. And so if you compare me just doing a solar wind and a kick normally, like that, compared to getting an attack in between, you can see Sybil sort of she stays in the air for a bit longer, gets a little bit higher. The timing on this is difficult. I find it quite difficult to do in high stress situations. But it is something that you can do here to make this gap a lot better. Like that. That is quite an advanced thing though, for a very, very minor time save. Don't worry about it too much if it's too difficult. Then you can cling on this pillar. Just be careful, make sure not to like go straight at one of these surfaces perpendicular, because I can't believe I actually stayed on there. You can just fall. But once you do that, I mean, I like to actually do a CSJ. You can jump onto this platform with a kick, and what you can try to do is, upon landing on this platform, do a gainer to land up here. If you have enough speed, I believe you can clear the ledge. I'm pretty sure you can. Then here, this is a little tricky, but I do recommend making use of low gravity state here to climb this wall. So the easiest way to do that is to solar wind, immediately kick the wall, and then sunsetter, and then do some reverse kicks. The timing on this is difficult, but I do recommend practicing. Really just press the buttons as fast as you can, is my only tip. There is such a thing as pressing them too fast, so like you still got the low gravity state, but you didn't quite like make use of it as much as you could. But I think when people are learning this, they tend to just be doing the inputs too slow when they're struggling. So that's the bit of advice I really have. If you do it the more optimal way of starting with a reverse kick, and ending with a sunsetter, you can clear the ledge without having to grab it. I find that harder. But it is, it does look really cool. And get this one, and then you want to basically aim for that one over there, and then kick backwards as soon as you get it to get the final one. If you mess up like that, you can do that. If you're really struggling with this, and I wouldn't blame you, I don't really know what the best thing to do is. I think you would probably want to do something like this. Get this one, grab this, and then end. This is a little harder. You can end like this. And that works. That wasn't terribly fast, but it works. Now we're gonna go to strike break. What I like to do here is I like to solar wind immediately into a kick, which gives me enough height to land onto here, and then bunny hop onto the next platform and chain an ultra across this gap. I think that works very well. Then we want to fight the maid, or we want to skip the maid. So as you can see, there is a box there. And when you enter this box, you get locked in, and you can't leave until you kill the maid. And then you grab strike break and you leave. But you can actually skip this. So the visual cue for when you are playing the game normally and you can't see the boxes is after this wall, the first set of squares, don't walk past them basically. This is safe. Anything past onto the next set of squares is going to lock you in. So I think the way this was initially found was someone was doing it like this. You would kick off this and this and do a sunsetter at the end. That is doable, that is what I used to do. But there is, I think, an easier way of doing it now, which is to stand here, do a sunsetter like this, and then kick off of the back wall when you're at your peak height, and do a shallow one like that, and then you don't even need to use the sunsetter, but you can if you think you need to. Hardest part is honestly just the start, but if you just stand here, if you know where you have to stand, do the sunsetter, and then at the peak of your jump, just kick towards the wall, and you should make it through just fine. Worst case scenario going for the skip is you have to fight the maid, which isn't too much of a time loss, especially if you have full magic. The actual worst case scenario is if you basically do what I just did to the maid, where she might, in the rare chance that she will do like a charging attack towards you, and then you trigger the lock in, you will just be soft locked, and if you didn't save at the out there, your run's dead. Or you can respawn with the save crystal over there. That only happened to me once, and it happened to me in a marathon run, but it is what it is. So then after that, we make our way into Underbelly. You can do a CSG to do this jump in one go, which is quite nice. Or you can slide off and do a kick, that works as well. Now, this health piece, you can really get it now, or you can get it on the way back out. I think it's faster to get it now, that's what we usually do. You can do something like this, which is quite good. Or you can do something like that, which I think is probably saves time initially, but then loses some by grabbing the ledge. I believe the fastest thing you can do is this tricky low gravity kick. So jump, attack, and then kick, and then do a sunsetter, and you land on here perfectly, and you can slide across. I think you can get a really good slide that you don't fall off. Maybe not. Or you can just walk along. And then you grab this, and then you can jump down, touch this wall, and do a sunsetter to break this, and immediately slide under. And make your way over to where the big key is. Coming up here, you have so many tools at your disposal now, but it is possible to just use a gold launcher like that. There are lots of ways of doing this room. The first way, you can either go right side or left side. And so right side will maybe look something like this. So on here, and then you use this platform to get up onto this one, and then you would jump towards this wall, cling it, cling around, up to here, grab the key, and then you can continue to cling around until you get to maybe here. There really is so many ways to do this room. I'm not going to cover them all, but to get back here, you can do a really good CSJ. You can actually make it onto this platform without needing to do any kicks. Or without having to grab the ledge. But you need like a perfect CSJ. It's really difficult to do. But there's the backup like I just showed you there of kicking up the pillar. You can slide off of here. That's not too easy. You can jump straight off of this wall and get here. And then like once you're here, you would, what I like to do is actually jump straight into this ledge and then do a gravity kick here and then be on my way. If you want to go left side, I actually don't know. I've only seen people do left side without solar wind, so you might be able to find a setup that is good. Really, the sky's the limit. Yeah, what I like to do actually is basically the first one I showed you. You can do the crazy first-person reverse kick thing on this ledge as well. I like to do a jump like this. Usually make it a bit higher than that. Oh, that was terrible. But yeah, so many ways to do this run. Watch people's runs and see what they do. If anything I showed you is too tough, come back. What I like to do here is once I'm getting up to this ledge here, whether I'm just landing or if I'm clinging on this wall, I try to get into, just like jump into this corner and then do a solar wind jump immediately into a kick to clear this ledge. And that's very fast. And then getting up these slopes, really just spam jump. But don't spam it too much, because that can happen, and that's annoying. I find if I stop spamming just before I get to the top, it works quite well. And then leave. And then this part is awkward with solar wind, but what you can do is basically as soon as you get control of Sybil, you can immediately turn around. so she's about here, you can immediately turn around and chain some ultras up there, although it is tight to avoid the walls. But if you do it right, it can look something like this. I like to do that. It might even be faster to do... I think at one point I was messing around with some kicks here, like maybe that could work. But this area is just awkward. I would recommend trying to do something like this. Then slide over here. And this is where the run really starts to deviate from any %, seeing places that we have not seen all that much. But I think I'm going to stop my session of recording this for now and come back on a different day because my voice hurts a lot. Okay, I'm back. So once you come to here, you just want to go straight left through here, this doorway. You can pretty much just immediately, as soon as possible, just do a jump like that. But you don't want to make it, like, it has to be pretty sharp to make it into this doorway. And you can't exactly turn your camera immediately, so it does have to be kind of a blind angle. You don't want to do it too sharp because then you'll hit the ground again. But you can do this. And chain that into a bunny hop. And ultra into the cubby like this. Although you won't make it exactly into the hole. The ultra doesn't get you high enough. So you need to do something like a kick and a flip to get up. If you fail that, you might end up being like too far on this side. You can cling around here. Or this works as well. If you fail this, just like take it calm. Probably good general advice. It's like if you fail something that you're intending to do, don't panic. Because a lot, especially at this point in the run where you have so many things, so many abilities, you can recover things quite easily if you just take it calmly. Like that's very good recovery. This is a good time to talk about what I think has been dubbed as the solar glide. If you do the inputs for a glide hop when you have solar wind, you can do like a... Hang on. Like that. You can effectively do a glide hop with solar wind. And it doesn't have that many uses, but here would be one such use. Where, like, you have to change directions. So, like, the alternatives are walk over here and then do a jump. Or you can slide, wait for the slide to stop, and then do another one. But you can see how both of those have a bit of, like, there's a bit of downtime. So to, like, be completely optimal, you could do that. I haven't quite practiced it enough to do it in runs myself. I don't know if it's just the same difficulty as a glide hop. I feel like it might be a little bit easier, but you are punished a lot more for failing it, I guess. because you could just go in some weird direction. But anyway, once you grab this, you can do a big jump to where that flat piece of land is. Keep jumping and chain 2 ultras, like that. You can do something like that if you're not making it high enough. If you mess things up and you're here, you can do a low gravity kick. It's just a little bit faster than doing something like this. Or maybe it's not, I don't know. Might actually be slower. Yeah, that's all I really have to say about that. Then here you can just clear that that ledge, like that. You might need to get a kick out to make sure Sybil lands on that small platform there. It's the sort of thing you get a feel for the more you do it. Yeah, keep going. Get the key. Then here, I mean, you can either do a normal jump or you can do a CSG. I find this doorway to be quite awkward. I don't really know a decent way of getting through it, but I think I tend to just like do a bunny hop and slam into this wall and then start another one here. Yeah, and then you want to get up on this ledge here. If you had slide, then you would probably get up on this one instead, but doing this with Solar Wind from here, there's ways to do it, but they're quite awkward, and I don't think any of them are as fast as or as clean as doing this. Getting up here, and then just doing that. You might even just be able to make this without using the wall. You can. Then here, I'm gonna save this just in case, because falling down here is the worst thing ever. You want to try and aim for that that small pillar there. Okay, I've just lost some items, I think. Yeah, if you just do a Solar Wind jump off of this platform and then kick at some point, it doesn't really matter where the kick is. You should land on that platform, and then you can do an ultra to get on top of the gazebo. Okay, actually, I would say do the kick a bit later. Like that. This is annoying. Yeah. And if you don't get a perfect ultra or perfect distance, you can kick off like that. That's easily savable. Here, the easiest thing to do is probably this. I think it is slightly faster to do a low gravity kick on this wall, sort of like this. That wasn't even low gravity, but it still works. there. Yeah. It doesn't even have to be reverse kick, to be honest, if you're like really tight against this wall. You just do a very shallow kick. And then this room, so I wish I knew more about this room, but you really just kind of have to go like this. You can either like, this is annoying because of the slopes, but you can do something like that, or you can go up like that, and then here you have like, I guess it's easier to recover things. I guess this is probably faster. And then from here you just want to, oops. You just want to get up here and then go over to here. And then once you're over here, you should, ideally, you can keep bunny hopping. Like this. And get on top of him. And then, just cling across like this. Or you can do another. The reverse kicks come in handy here. The low gravity ones. That is faster. It might be possible. In fact, well, I know it is sort of possible. You can do some really stupid stuff like this. You might need more kicks for that, but yeah, I don't know. You might be able to do something that doesn't involve landing on this platform here, but I don't really know. What I actually do is this really scary and very punishing trick that probably does not save very much time at all. I haven't timed it, but I do it because I've done it enough that it's like I can do it reasonably consistently, and it looks way cooler. You get on top of this door frame, then you basically do this. So you do 2 kicks along the wall. I do reverse kicks and angle them as much as possible. Fling along that, and then fling round the corner, then use your last kick and sunset a flip. I think if you can do it consistently, then it's definitely worth it. But like the 2 seconds, if that. But yeah, I guess the downside is you aren't bunny hopping along here, so you just sort of stand here awkwardly, and I tend to just use some low grav kicks to get up here a bit faster. Now, we want to get up there, and we're not going to use anything in this room apart from like this door. So you get up like this, and there's a few ways you can do this really. I guess the super easy way would actually be to come over here and do something like that and be on your way. But you can also do that to get onto this one and then onto this one. Low gravity kicks also work. And you might think, like, can you get high enough to get onto this one? You can, but it is really tight. And so if I try and do it like this, I think if it's like perfect, then you might be able to get into the corner and climb up. Like that, but that's a little scary. And falling down here can be quite frustrating. But if you do like the optimal low gravity where you start with a reverse kick and then end with a sunset flip, it does make it a lot easier. I don't think I even did it perfectly there. Hang on. Yeah, that will give you more height, let you go immediately to that one. So yeah, if you're comfortable doing that consistently, by all means go ahead and do this. But it is like if you're not getting that every time, you should just go for the one on this side and then go back over, because it's like a second lost. And if you fail this, it's like 5 or 6 seconds, and it's like frustrating to lose 5 or 6 seconds for something that saves only a second. Yeah, once you get that, immediately drop down here, and then try to start a jump here so that you can conserve a bunny hop into this room. And then you start climbing this room. There's a million ways to do this. I found a setup for me that is like reasonably fast. I like doing. So it looks something like this. Whoops, I didn't mean to pause. So yeah, I go into the corner, I do 2 clings, and then I do 3 kicks and a flip. And that is sort of an important thing. I would just say, like, it's easy to, like, because there's so many different ways to do certain things, and especially in a room like this, it's so easy to go into a room and just like sort of wing it every time, and it sort of goes fine. But it's really quite important to make sure you have a consistent setup for a lot of things, because it will, like, even if like your movement is good enough that you can improvise, there will be times where something just like doesn't go right, or your brain doesn't work properly. And having a consistent setup for things like this just minimizes that chance. So I created that for myself, but you can do like, I think some people like to do kicks first and then the climb. You might even just be able to make it. Okay, you can actually just make it. I'd have to test that a bit more to see how consistent it is. But I guess if you just do it really well... Oh, that's actually not that bad at all. Maybe practice that. That's probably the way to go. But yeah, I mean, it might fail, and then you can go into the... start clinging on the corners. But generally, that sort of thing is slower. Then do an ultra here and get onto this wall. Like that. Come over here. You could probably kick through this door to line yourself up better for this next part. But here, just do an ultra, try and do it as close to that wall as possible, but not on the slope. Do something like that. Don't think I have anything else to say about that, really. Yeah. Then, yeah, okay. So, this can be a little bit of a dangerous spot. So you can do that. But to get the height, to kick this wall, you need a gold ultra. If you get a blue one, you won't be able to do that. There's other things you can do instead, like if you actually cling around the corner properly. I think this is the fastest thing you can do. I think. I don't know for certain. And then there's also like this. Yeah. This way. You can just clear that like that, but that is a little tight. You might find it easier to use two walls there. These are quite simple, really. It just kind of jumps. And now we're in theatre. So, if you want to be really fast here, you can do an ultra and some angled kicks. And a cling and get up here, and then do that. And then you can actually do a sailing boost here. You don't know. Ultraing into a sloped sailing like that does speed you up. I think you can see the speed go up. Yeah, it's a minor thing, but it's probably one of the easiest places to do it. So that's fun. If the angled kicks are too hard, you can obviously just do it like this, which is not even that much slower. You can also use these platforms however you please. Maybe you get here. No, I don't think that's very good. I just realized my controller display's not on. Why is it not? There it is. Sorry about that. I would do that. Then come through here. And we want to get this HP up here. To be honest, I haven't really found a consistent way of getting this one. I just sort of wing it every time. I really should find a more consistent way. I find that I try to do like 2 very quick wall kicks off this green wall. It tends to work pretty well. Like that. That is probably the fastest thing you can do. Also do this. Then hit this. Give yourself a little room here to do a solar wind jump, and then do this. You can immediately jump back, but I don't really know. I think it just depends on the randomness of how the enemies move, but the sword might come flying at you immediately as you grab this health piece, or whatever it was I just picked up. But yeah, you might want to like play it safe and wait a second before jumping back, because there's a good chance you'll get hit. Then we are in Theatre Key. Okay, so here, if you start a solo wind jump, I believe it's around this line, you can perfectly land about here and do an ultra, and then go round. I think this is the cue I use. Yeah. So that's really nice. That one didn't quite work. You might be able to do something like this instead. That also works. That's probably a little bit easier, but obviously this is slightly faster. If it works, if it doesn't, you can back it up like that. And then we need to go get Soul Cutter. You can do a CSG off of this, and then kick off of this pillar. That is kind of tight. You do need to be quite specific with your kick, otherwise you might be sent backwards. But that is the fastest way you can do that. You can also do this. That might actually be faster. I think that would be faster if you can not lose any momentum through this. Like that. Yeah, that's probably the fastest thing actually. I think it's a little bit easier than kicking off this wall maybe. But you can try both. Okay, so to be fast we want to skip using the switches here. Hitting this to go up doesn't actually really lose much time, but it's more about on the way back down. And I have to actually get Soul Card to go back down now. You can just do a solo wind jump onto this platform here. The jumps work out quite nicely. Grab the ledge like that. It might be slightly better to do. Like maybe that can skip some ledges. I don't know actually. That could be a thing you could do. That might be more comfortable. But I usually just go straight towards it like that. Make sure you start charging this as soon as possible. actually, I'm being silly. You wouldn't need to charge it if you actually skipped this. So you want to basically do an ultra and a kick. And it should just work out, really. You can just do 2 kicks like that. It's easier than it looks, I think. Just make sure to do the kick. Yeah, it's really not that bad. So then, once you grab Soul Cutter, you can just fall down immediately. But I should say, you come into the room like this. So you can actually do it all in one smooth motion like this. Although, this is something I actually have wondered about, but sometimes when you attack things while you're bunny hopping, you lose a bit of speed. I don't really know. I feel like sometimes it's more than other times, but I don't know exactly why. But see, there I didn't lose very much. But sometimes you do. And if you want to maybe avoid that, or this is giving you a little bit of trouble and like it's easier to set up if you stop for a second, you can just do that, and that's fine. But yeah, once you're here, you want to do the same thing. You need to hit this lever. This one's a little trickier, but it's essentially just the same thing. Yeah, it just works. But of course you can just use Soul Cutter. But the advantage, especially of not using Soul Cutter, is you don't use up your magic, and you'll go into the princess fight with more magic. So I guess that's probably a good point. If you are not going to be doing these, and the Soul Cutter skip coming up, and you're just going to use Soul Cutter, don't bother wasting time earlier in the run to farm enemies for magic, because you're just going to lose it here, and it's going to be like, you might save a little bit of time breaking certain walls, but that's going to be like really negligible to the time that you actually lose by farming the magic. So yeah, don't bother doing that. But if you are going to do all the things I just showed, then keep farming magic, that's fine. Oh, I guess back up here is you can, it's a little tough, but because this wall is so high up, you can't just do a sunsetter and kick to make it. You might actually be able to do that on the other one. Yeah, you can just do that for this one. But for this one, you have to do a sunsetter flip before you kick, because it's just too high up. And the spacing can be tricky. But it is an option. Here, I like to start my wind jump very early to land on the platform down below. Just go Soul Cutter skip. You should probably know about this from any percent. It's a bit more annoying with Solar Wind. You can't exactly do an ultra because you get too much height. Unless you like are very precise with your ultra and you're able to get a blue one when you want to, like that. I would just recommend doing a CSJ if you can. And this is the fast method, of course. But yeah, there's also, I guess, the methods of, I mean, to be honest, I have not done it this way in so long. I don't really know the best setups for it. You can grab these walls like this. And yeah, I mean, there's so many videos of people doing that. I don't think I need to cover it in detail here. If I can actually make it across. This is a problem. There we go. Outside, it's a little bit nicer with solar wind, I think. You can do a, this is actually quite difficult, but you can just about line up a line here for a solar wind jump and make it all the way to this platform, which is definitely the fastest thing. You can, of course, do it any which way you want otherwise, but just to say that solar wind, this is the fastest thing that you can do. But it is tricky, and especially this far into a run, it can be a little stressful to try and do fast. Then we have the Dreambreaker skip. Dreambreaker skip. You need to do this if you skip Soul Cutter. You hit this. You have Soul. What am I talking about? You wouldn't have skipped Soul Cutter. This is 100%. But it's faster anyway to do the Dreambreaker kick. It's probably been explained to anyone watching this before, but the way I do this is I like to throw the Dreambreaker while I'm on the ground, then jump immediately, and then kick when Sybil's at the height of her jump, and move a little bit towards the Dreambreaker as I'm kicking, and it works. Sometimes this fails. Now, I have a bit of a theory that it's because I think if you make sure you're standing close enough, so like not on the cage platform, I think that makes it work more often. I don't know for sure, but I think it tends to help with me. There's a swag strat you can do with Solar Wind here. You can do that, and you can actually make it. I don't know if it saves any time, to be honest. If it does, it's extremely minimal. But yeah, you can, once you get up here, you can immediately jump like that. However you want to do this. You can also do that, which is a little tight, but it's a bit faster. Here you can do a Breaker Recall, I think it's a little harder than the one in Sounds Like Keep where you go backwards. So when you're doing a forwards ultra, it's just more input, so it's a little more complicated, but because the last input I make with an ultra is A, I tend to just try to do an ultra and then afterwards just slide my thumb over to B, which is the recall button. And this is a very normal room. We're not going to do anything special here. Thank goodness. Okay. Dreaded Theatre 13. There's so many ways to do this. And so I believe the fastest way is to go straight down the middle, climb up that wall. And it's quite easy to do with this setup, to be honest. So yeah, you can just do an ultra, doesn't really matter how good you get it, do some kicks and a flip, and then cling into the corner a bit more. But what you actually can do if you want to be really optimal with Solar Wind, because the height you get from a gold ultra, you can clear this without using any clings, but you do need to be really perfect with your inputs. So you need a gold ultra, and you need to space out your kicks as much as you can. Yeah, you can do that, and then once you're up here, you can do this. Then you can do an ultra off of the... You can do that. This might be a bit hard. The most like a beginner thing you can do, I suppose, is so get up here, whether it's like that or if it's over here. Get up here and then use this wall, so you might give yourself enough space to do an ultra. And just go along this wall, however you want, and go along. I think a slightly faster variation of this that I used to do I just want me to show up. So I would get up here, and then you can just go up straight up this corner. But you do need to space out your clings quite a lot. And I think that's definitely faster than what I showed you before. You can also do it with low gravity kicks instead. You don't need to space out the clings as much though. That is another option. You can also go up this wall if you want. I think there was a time where I did this at some point. Yep. But yeah, going down there is the fastest way. Otherwise, if that's too hard, just do one of those other three. Should work. And then we need to hit the middle switch. Something you can do. You can go from here and you can ultra off of the cage. It's a bit harder than it looks. And to be honest, I don't really know why, but I think it just is. I don't really know how much faster it is, but I think it's slightly better. And then here, so the nice thing about this is a gold ultra will perfectly let you grab this ledge. So that's really nice, and then you can just immediately sunset off of it and climb however you want. You can jump, like, those fences can be annoying. So if you just don't want to trust those, you can get on top of this door frame. You can do some clings in the corner and then pick up. Not sure which is faster, really. They're both pretty fast if you do them right. I think the fence is probably faster. Come in here, don't forget this HP. Then you can just cling on this wall here. Climb up like that. Come around here. Getting up these staircases can be a bit awkward. What I usually do is ultra to get onto this third step here, then do a sunsetter and cling over. I think if you were like really good, you could do something like that. But it does, well, the nice thing about Solar Wind is that even if you come around here and you don't have a lot of speed, you can just restart. Yeah, that would take, I think that would take a good bit of practice to be able to get down pretty well. Otherwise, I would say just do something like that. And get up here. Now, what I do here is we need to get the lever for the time trial. I like to come about here and get up here like this, and then either do this or maybe do that. You can use this fence, which is faster. I think I've just been burnt by that too many times that I tend to not risk it. But it's probably not that bad. Obviously, like, the scary thing is you might fall down this side, which is quite bad. But once you're here, you can jump and kick onto here, ultra onto here, and then jump immediately to time trial crystal. That doesn't really happen. Oh, that's interesting, actually. maybe that's worth investigating. Okay. So this time trial is in a predetermined order. But you can just make that. You might be able to make it with a CSJ instead. I think it's a little bit more risky. You can always back it up by doing like a turnaround sunsetter. Then I just do something like that. You can do that, but that's tight. I think you're likely to end up falling down, having to go onto the lower step. Then here you can do that. I think the world record might actually do something kind of crazy here. Something like that. That's really good if you can pull that off. And then once you're here, you want to jump into this one and just fall straight into the goop, because you'll respawn back here. Which isn't much faster than turning around, to be honest, but it is slightly faster. And then you can do that and ultra back up here. Minor optimization, but if possible, try to let Sybil skid for a little bit. Because if you do it immediately, you'll get a gold ultra and it makes her spend more time in the air, which is a bit slower. Yeah, you come here. This one, some people, I think the IL times do it like this. And then, yeah, they just jump off of there like that. I don't know, I kind of prefer just clinging along the whole thing. I don't really know why. Just doing it like that. Because I like doing this jump here. You can also do the jump from here. Again, this is another sloped surface, so ultraing is a little hard. It can be tricky, like sometimes like you'll probably miss that a few times, but just use kicks or whatever. Then go up here. This is a little risky, but I do a CSJ here. Cling off like that. This is probably one of the more awkward places for Solar Wind, but this does work. Otherwise, you kind of have to like maybe come up here and do that, or do that, which is a little slow, but yeah, I believe the fastest thing would be a CSJ. Then immediately jump like that. And this is tricky, but there's just enough space to do a jump here. You kind of have to neutral the ultra, or you can just rub Sybil against the wall to stop her. And she'll get that, and that's the time trial done. But before that, we get aerial finesse. And you can just like do a single jump here. I should say actually, instead, if this is too difficult, which it may well be, you can do that, or you can just go the normal way. But yeah, here you can do that very fast. And then you can jump down to get the costume, although I've seen some people just as soon as they get this just fall off like this and respawn here. I think it respawns you right on the costume. I don't really know which is faster, but both options are there. You just need to make sure that when you were doing the time trial, you didn't hit this one if you are going to do that respawn. So best to just avoid this platform in general, I think, because you can just do this. But yes, we're out of theatre. That jump's a little tight. But, I mean, there's not really much to say about it. So there's one item to get just before we go back into dungeon. And it's this guy down here. There is a really cool thing you can do with this one, but it is really hard. I'll just see if I can get it in a few tries. But you can probably tell. There you go, like that. Yeah, you need to, like, because you want really good speed going into this, but this is quite a sharp angle downwards. You can try figuring out, like, maybe a setup, like a specific pixel on the ground to aim for on the jump. But I don't know how effective that will be, because obviously you might be coming at this from a different speed, or maybe you'll do a solo wind jump from here and it just works for you. I tend to just sort of try to feel it out. But yeah, once you do that, you do the backwards ultra. I turn the camera sideways like this when I'm grabbing the health piece, just because it helps me with my inputs. But yeah, because you'll be holding this way, but then to do the sunsetter flip, you need to be holding this way to flip that way. I find that a little harder on a controller to just do that, I guess. But in the case that you don't get that, and you're down here, just get out. Yeah, low gravity kicks work well. I'm sure you can figure out a way to do that. Do a very smooth jump there. You could do a kick on the way down to reset your speed a little bit. This should really be broken. And then come down here for the time trial. So the way I like to approach this time trial is I want to get up on this ledge. So as I'm coming here, I'll grab this and jump up immediately. And then ultra onto this wall and cling. Like that. So I jump and hit this crystal and then kick towards the first block that appears. This time trial is one of, I would say, maybe the hardest when learning. It's just like really tricky. I like to do that. Then do a CSJ here. You can probably Yeah, you can do a solo wind jump as well. But make sure to do the kick cancel, because you can still make it, but it's a little bit harder. Now there's a few things you can do here. This is like the hardest part. It's really getting this next one. That one's not really a problem. So yeah, you can slide off of this and get an ultra. And then kick off the wall, kick onto this cage and do a backflip. I think you can just, like, if your ultra's good enough, you can probably just grab the cage. But we sort of learned recently these cages can be a bit finicky depending on your frame rate. So that might be why it doesn't work as well for me. If you want to be a little bit faster, you can also do this. Once you are up here, you can slide off to grab this one. And then kick up like this. If you fall down at any point, backing up this trial in general is a bit of a nightmare. Okay, well, I never use those cages because they're bad with whatever frame rate I'm on. 120. I tend to just try and get up here and get up here again, and then go to where I need to go from there. And for this last one, and do that. You might be able to do the low grav thing. Yeah. And then here is another place where you can do a solo glide. Because you want to hit this one and then you want to get the costume that's going to appear on that cage over there. I tend to play it safe and I walk over here. Make sure to be on the right side of this so that you don't... So if I walk this way, I'm going to collect the bubble. I try and get here, and then I'll do an ultra over to the thing, going through the bubble. But you can also try and do the... You saw I basically got it there. But yeah, it would have landed... Costume would have appeared right here. And then you go. I will say general movement through this part can be a little... It's worth practicing, because it's very easy to just bonk yourself on these ledges and lose time. Now here... So I like to just go straight up on this wall. Do a low grav kick here, and then CSJ across here. It might be slightly faster to come around this way and do some stuff like this, but that is harder, and I don't do it, and I don't know the exact best ways to do it, but that should be a little bit faster. This, I only really know if you have full magic power, what the best thing to do here is, but if I... This should make the wall come back. Do I have indignation? I do. Oh, no, I know. Yeah, so I think this takes 2 strike breaks. And 1 hit. Okay. So we're gonna come back here after in a little bit. but we need to go get another item first. But what you can do, what I like to do, is as I'm coming through here, if you have full magic, hit it once, because that way when you come back, it will just be 2 strike breaks and it's done. So yeah, hit it on the way. You can ignore the poles on this area. I'll do it like this. Then I usually come here and do a low grav kick. I think it actually just grabs the ledge. Yeah. I think it's worth taking like a very split second to line up a good jump here to avoid the wall and the pole. That's another place you could probably do a solo glide. But yeah, as you're coming through here, have your strike break charged. Just release it. I think if you jump as you're breaking the wall, you go slightly further ahead. This is the dark room. The dark room actually lights up if you throw your Dreambreaker. Just make sure to do it when the room is fully dark. If you sort of do it around here, it won't actually work. But yeah, you can either you can just like throw it against this wall. I think if you're like a good distance away from it, there's like a... You can do it so that you pick it up really fast. Or you can do this really cool strat where this is a bit harder, but you can do a low gravity kick and throw the Dreambreaker. Sort of this wall just in front. Whoops. And then grab the ledge like that. So you would jump, you would throw the Dreambreaker, and then you would kick. I think if you do it on this wall, you can actually clear the ledge. It's a little bit harder, but I think it's also a little bit harder because you're doing this in the dark. It's a bit harder to know where this wall exactly is. This way is a little bit safer because you can kind of... There's usually a little bit of light coming through here, I think. But yes. Or you can do this whole thing in the dark, which, fair play to you. The geometry is the same every time, but this doesn't exactly lose time, really. And it's just going to help you be better. Okay, come this way. Ideally, don't get hit by this stalactite or stalagmite, whatever the hell it is. I will say try to avoid, you know, that explains a lot. There's just a one-way, there's just an invisible wall on this side. I was going to say try to avoid hugging this corner as you're like climbing here, because sometimes you just don't grab the ledge. And I was going to say I don't know why, but now I know exactly why. There's actually a wall here. Interesting. But yeah, then come up here, and So there's a really good way to do this, and if you don't do it this way, it's going to be kind of painful. With Solar Wind in particular. So the best thing you can do is get a CSJ off of here, and I'm pretty sure this works way better with a CSJ than a Solar Wind jump, assuming you can get a decent speed out of it. Something like that, right? So you land here, bunny hop immediately, and then come here, and then do an ultra off of this platform here. You see the Solar Wind jump doesn't, like... I think it's because it doesn't get as much height. Yeah, that's definitely it. Like that. You can even just grab the ledge if it's good enough, I'm pretty sure. If you don't do this, you'll be like here, and like you can't, this ledge is too high unless you're doing like a full fast hop, which is like really advanced tech. You're not going to be able to like get an ultra in that area. And that's the other thing, falling down there, do your best not to fall in this place because you respawn really far back. But yeah, this is not really a thing you can do, and it, like, the best thing you can do at this point is like, well, I think what I used to do before discovering the better strat was give myself as much room as possible and try and do that, but it's still kind of janky. Otherwise, you can like do this, which isn't too bad, but it's not very fast. Same thing with a low gravity. And just make your way back. Now, try to put yourself in this corner. Because there is, like, ideally you want to clear this ledge here. So if you give yourself as best an angle as possible when you're jumping here, it's pretty tough. But it's like hitting this ledge and having to jump up, and then there's another ledge, and like it's just really terrible. That is ideal. And then you can do another one. And keep going. Into Underbelly. In 1 second. Okay, I might not be able to finish this in this session, but I'm going to keep going. All down here. This place can be a little bit confusing. But if you enter this way and you're facing this way, when you fall down you want to go to the direction on the right. So you turn right and then you go forward. Just slide off of this. You really don't want to fall down, so I wouldn't do anything too special here. And then you want to get across. I really should have Martial Prowess. Oh no, not Martial Prowess, it's Clear Mind. I have Clear Mind. Do I need 3? Oh, there you go. So So I don't remember when you actually get Clear Mind, but it doesn't really matter until now. But you can see I have more magic meter on the left. As you're going through here, I wouldn't really stress about this too much, but it is nice. You can like get some hits off of those guys. It doesn't really matter though, because after we get Ascendant Light, we're going to go back anyway, and it's going to be way easier to farm them. Because you can just, you do have to be a little bit careful, but you can see with these, they just keep existing. Even after they're dead, and you will continue to get magic off of them. Although their hitboxes still move, which is funny. But yeah, ideally, this is a quick way to get yourself up to full magic before the princess fight. And you should fill it up all the way. At least. Yeah, because that's how much the soul cutter uses. You really need it to be up to the main bar for more damage, but we're going to use soul cutter one more time in the run, so it's best to have full now. So when you use one more, you'll still have the extra damage from indignation. Yeah, be a little careful with these. I would say like if you're farming them, try to stay in front of them. Like this. It's very easy to accidentally just touch them, and as soon as they hit you, you're just going to fall down, and that's a decent time loss. Once you're over here, you fall down. Once you hit this lever, this platform's going to start moving, and you can use the momentum to jump really far. Like that. I think I normally do a CSJ. Yeah, you can either try to carry the momentum inwards, or I think what I normally do as soon as I land, I just do another jump like this. Ultra up there. Slide off. We have Ascendant Light now, so it works out quite nicely when you're bunny hopping to hit the switch in midair. You land on this. But don't try and do anything too fancy, because I've had runs where, like, I don't know, I hit this and I somehow fall down. And you respawn back here, and you have to hit it again and wait for it to come back. Because I've never actually really thought about this, but I suppose you can climb up this way, but I think that's slower. Particularly because you can use the cage's momentum on the way up too. Like this. You can get even faster than what I think typically I get it a bit faster than that. But yeah, you can do that, land about here, and then immediately go this way. It's really fun movement. This is another place where you can do a ceiling boost, but it is quite finicky, and if you don't do it right, you'll lose time. Because you have to do the ceiling boost ultra into another ultra. And also the floor here is like slightly sloped. But that's the thing you can do. Honestly, this whole area just kind of sucks. I don't really have like I kind of wing it every time, which I really shouldn't do. But I would recommend trying to ultra up this place, because it's very steep. And it can be awkward getting up here normally. Once you're here, start charging a strike break. Come here. And you want to hit this lever. Now, if you're like super risky, you can shoot at it and then just go, because we need to go down there. I can't tell you how many times I've had runs lose a lot of time because I shot this at the lever, thought it was going to hit, and then it doesn't hit, and I have to come back up, and it wastes like 15 seconds. With a controller, this is very difficult to line up, in my experience, just because I just find it difficult to hit like perfect angles with the stick, because the angle really does matter at this distance. If you're on keyboard, you can just press W and should be facing straight forward. Something you can also do is go into first person mode, and the soul cutter will always go at the very center of the screen. It might not be the easiest to know where exactly the center of the screen is, but I find this works better for me because it's just like the aiming is a lot more fine. If I'm doing this and I'm like trying to aim this, they often just go in whatever which way they want. And it's not like you'll get it within a few tries, but for controller I'd recommend first person. On keyboard, you can just line it up like this and then press W. Maybe you could even switch to keyboard if you're really struggling with it on a controller. I think a slight optimization you can actually do is like, if it's in the center, you can press first person and out, and it will automatically face Sybil in that direction. But anyway, once you get that, you come this way, and we don't want to do this room normally. We want to go up backwards. So the way I do this is sort of on this dark part, where when the room starts fading in. Oops. I'll do a solo wind jump and a kick. Ultra. Thank you, Ledge. Yeah, like that. 3 kicks and then climbing up here. I can't believe that happened again, and now I'm out of bounds. I would say this really requires some experimentation to find a way that works for you, because this area, like this, just like vertical tunnel in general, is extremely janky. Like, weird shit can just happen. So I would practice this a fair bit and try and do the same thing every time. Otherwise you can just do the room normally, which I'm not going to demonstrate. But yeah, this works for me, despite it not working earlier. Once you grab this, rub along this wall to walk off, and you'll respawn back here. It saves like maybe a second or two. Then it gets a little bit awkward here. I don't think you can quite... Yeah. What I do is that... There's definitely faster things you can do here. The terrain here is just very awkward, so I end up doing something like that. But I think if you do it really well, you can like do this. But you can see how tight that is. Or maybe it's not that bad actually. But yeah, that's that. And if you do find yourself in a situation where you are down here and you missed the lever and you need to go back up to get it, come up here and then go up this way. Like that, and then you're back up there. Otherwise, time trial time. So there is actually on the IL leaderboards, there's like a fastest route using solar wind, but I don't know how to do it. I haven't looked at it properly, and I'm guessing it's probably not really a good thing to start doing, considering it's an IL thing. The routes here, I've managed to get times that are only like a couple seconds, 2 or 3 seconds slower than the other one. So yeah, this should work fine. But do an ultra on top of this platform, then do another one here. And then you're gonna have to give yourself more room here. Sometimes you can even get that one in the same ultra if you do like a kick. Otherwise you can just sunset it. Fall off here, and kick when you get the bubble. You can also kick the wall, slightly easier. Grab this key, and then you can either sunset it off here and cling round. Make sure you kick after clinging around the corner to make it onto the ledge where that bubble is. Or you might be able to do some weird stuff with solar wind. But it's a little tough. I'll try it again. Yeah, that's slightly faster. When you get this one, come around this side in particular, because as you get the bubble, you can kick over this way to land on this platform, and it sets you up really well for the rest of the time trial. So you can go like this and jump up here like that. If you do it the other way and you land here, then I mean, it's fine as well, like you go like this, but it's a little, you lose a bit more speed doing it that way. And this is pretty simple. Come here, and fall off here and cling. And that's the costume done. Now we have to go to Heliacal Power. This is a pretty big jump. You can play it safe by jumping from here. Like, you can easily make this. This jump can be a little bit scary. It's not too bad though. In general, this whole area coming up, I would recommend practicing this a lot, because the terrain here is so awkward and annoying. If you wing this area, you can lose time very easily. So I like to jump up on this platform here and then ultra up like this. That's very fast. And slide across. Then here you can do another ultra to go all the way across there. You can also cling on this wall. It's a bit weird though. I feel like things go wrong sometimes. But yeah. Then you can do some ultras up here. And you want to avoid this box. So just come as far on the right hit as possible and then I guess aim towards that hay bale. Now we have 4 kicks, which we will make use of, even though it's this late into the run. And then just hug this wall. And you'll respawn back here. From here, this is a little bit awkward. Kind of depending on what cycle this enemy is on. But you can do something like that, or maybe even low grab it. Yeah, that's probably the best thing you can do. This guy might be in the way, which can mess things up. It's just something to keep in mind, really. I don't have a great solution for it. It doesn't happen that much. From here, you can do a really good CSG to make it across there. Or you can cling along this wall. I think you can do a gainer to get up here. I don't really know what the best thing to do here is, to be honest. That seems pretty good. Then from here, do like try to slide in this direction. Because of like, I don't think you can really avoid bonking and still get a really good slide. You might be able to, but you'll have to curve it a little bit. But yeah, you might have to do another jump to get more speed. And then you need to go along here. You can either do it off that platform or do it straight from down there. Platform's a little bit safer, but probably a little bit slower. I don't know, actually. Because you do get higher. Yeah, probably is a bit slower. Come this way. You can either go up here, or you can do a CSG here, which is a little bit faster. Come this way. Come here. And then this can be a little tricky, but you need to do a coyote jump here to get up here. If you want to be really crazy, I cooked up this strat a short while ago. You can do something like this. Basically, you bunny hop here, and then you do an ultra like right here. See if I can get it. Yeah, like that. But you can do it even better. Actually get like a blue trail. I didn't get the ultra, but you get the idea. Then, I don't really know the best way to get up here. Nothing's really too slow. And I think at one point I used to use the sides here like this. That might be faster. I honestly don't know. You'll know if you got all the health pieces, because you should have 8 HP going into this health piece, and then this is the last one, and you should still have 8 after that, because there is one more health piece than there are health pieces you need to get max HP. So the last one is just extra. Then you fall down here. Try and get an ultra onto this pole. Okay, I'm going to end it here. Not end it here, I'm going to pause it here and then do the last couple bits, basically just tower, in another session. Okay. So now all we have left is tower. So if you stand on this platform here, you'll set your spawn point to up on top of the bridge, so you can just walk on to here and then slide off. And then go. So now we're back at the tower, and what you do here depends on what you did at the start of the run. So if you dropped down and you opened the gate here, it's great. You can just go here. And then you can either, because it's time to do the time trial, you can either just go up there like this, or if you want to be really fast, you can go up this wall. Really just do that however you like. Another thing I sort of recommend trying to get a consistent setup for, because it's easy to like bonk your head like that on that part, if you're not doing the same thing every time. So yeah, if you can't do this first try, it's not going to save you time, so only go for it if you're pretty confident you can get it. Otherwise, if you decide to skip, if you decide to jump off at the top of the tower, you have to climb back up, but there's a trick you can do. And you should only really be jumping off the tower if you are confident with this trick, and this trick's not super easy. I think doing it this way, jumping off the tower and then climbing up the tower this way, I think it was timed to save around like at least 10 seconds. So you could fail this once, maybe twice, and be neutral on time, but you would have to get it first try to save any reasonable amount of time, I think. The second time is probably saving a little bit, but not much. Basically, you can just climb this pillar, like this. Yeah, so the gold ultra and 4 kicks is enough. There's a few things to say about this. So I did it off of this little ledge here, and that makes sense because it gives you a little bit more height. But you do have to sort of manage going around the corner, which makes it harder than if you were just doing it like this. But it is actually possible to do it straight from the ground like this. You just need to do it very, very well. And you can cling like that if you're not very high. If you're not high enough. that is something you need to get used to. Like that. So yeah, that's kind of a pick your poison, really. Do you want the jumps to be really tight and you probably have to do an awkward cling jump, or do you want to have to navigate around this corner? And that's another thing that I was going to mention. If possible, avoid grabbing this ledge here, because sometimes that happens quite often. So yeah, grab onto the sides if you can. Because basically it's because this wall is behind the ledge, so it's like detecting this wall as a potential ledge grab thing. But anyway, once you're up here, you can just like this, get on top of the pole, and then there's a cool thing you can do with poles is if you actually sunset it on them, you can do a slide. You can do a solo wind jump as well. So that's really cool. And then you're right here at the time trial. Ignore that. I already have cling gem. So the time trial. I guess I'll just sort of go through. There's really a few ways to do this. So the easiest way is probably like this. Clinging. Like that. Get up here. Then you get here. Get this one. You can use the wall here if you need to. Do more clings. That one. And this one, so this is really the different ways of doing this are all around these ones. The rest of these, you'll do them almost the same no matter what, basically. You might actually be jumping towards that one from this one, which is a bit more ideal because you can do this. If you actually do it well, you can get an ultra here and chain it around to here, and then drop down here. And then the final one is here, which you just about reach with a gold ultra. But if you don't get a gold ultra, don't worry, because you can just use these walls. And then when you're done, you will come up here. And get the costume. If you are on here when you're doing it, you can either like give yourself a lot of room and do it like that, or you might be able to do it this way if you just slide off. That might work. You can investigate that if you're really interested. But the slightly faster ways of doing this, so I guess the intermediate way would be doing reverse wall kicks like that. And then this one, you grab the top one, drop down, cling off. Do this. And then once you're here, you skip this way. And get on top of here. And then do the end like you normally would. And finally, the fastest way to do this is with low grav shenanigans. So you can do something like this and get on top of here immediately. I will say there might be a fast, I might be missing something here. I don't really check the IL stuff too often. But I'm pretty sure it's something like this. Is what the fastest route looks like. Anyway. So once you're actually done with the trial, we want to climb up, and it's actually, this was pretty clever. I believe Pine came up with this idea. But you can actually use these blocks to help you get up if you activate them again. So, like, there's a few ways you can really do this. You can just sort of go here and try and get up on here. Do something like that, maybe. I think what I do is I hit the thing, and then I do an ultra to get up on here. And then from here I will okay. I'll do some low gravity kicks now. Something like that. It works. If you want to just not use these things at all, you can climb this wall. To be honest, that's probably faster. It depends, you have to set yourself up. You might be able to do that. It's pretty fast. I think the absolute fastest thing you can do, and when, yeah, it was kind of crazy. You'd have to be crazy to go for this, I think, but, was it something like this? You can imagine what I'm trying to do. But you would chain an ultra on the time trial block. At least I think that was the idea. Oh, that's an idea, actually. If you're up here, you can do a sunset flip to give yourself a bit more height. Maybe like this. I don't know. You could ask someone in the Discord, I'm sure they would, someone might know. But yes, oh, I guess super easy thing to do is like, climb up this wall and then just go around. And then you're here, and you don't need to grab the tower key because we already got it. And then we have princess fights. So, the princess fight in this category is probably the nicest princess you'll get in any of the main categories. Mostly because we have martial prowess, which increases damage and it shortens the fight by a lot. The downsides to this fight is we have to deal with Ascendant Light and Soul Cutter. So Soul Cutter, if you don't know, well, you should know that when the Soul Cutter hits something, it uses magic, and that's a problem because we want high magic to do more damage to the princess. And strike breaks are the fastest way to do damage. I'll probably link, there's a couple guides on Princess alone, which I'll probably just link in the description. But basically we want to get hit her 3 times. And we also want to miss the Soul Cutter, so you have to sort of get to the side of her. That's the hardcore way to do the fight. A much nicer way to do the fight, and Ascendant Light is actually kind of helpful for this, is to do an attack slightly above her, and you'll get bounced up. And during that time you can charge another one and just let a second one go. Which, to be honest, it's safe and it's not too much slower. So only do the Soul Cut method if you're comfortable, and if you're not, on average, if you're not getting 3 strike breaks on every time, then you probably shouldn't really be doing it. Unless you just want to practice, of course, and get better, that's fine. It's probably going to lose you time on average compared to the safer method. Also, don't hit Princess on the way down in this category. You might have seen in some speedruns people hit her on the way down, and sometimes they don't. The reason for that is that if you the leading theory is that there's 2 cycles related to Princess. One is when you hit her, and one is when you land on the ground. So if you have Ascendant Light and you hit her, and then you land on the ground at a different time, it sort of makes those cycles mismatch, and it makes Princess do a bunch of weird shit that is assumed to be worse because it's very unpredictable. I don't think it's very unlikely that it will save you time in the long run, even though you can get two strong hits out. But if you're on any percent, then you can hit her once and you'll fall down immediately, and the fight doesn't change, so it's fine then. But yeah, to show the safe, it's not like that. You can do that, and you can see the Soul Cutter's missing, and it's quite easy to get 2 hits in. Like that. But if you want 3 hits, try and get this. Yeah, you have to sort of go to the side. I will say, if you go for the Soul Cutter methods and you start losing magic, say your magic gets below, I don't know. Let's see if I can actually lower it. If your magic is like this much, maybe even slightly higher, don't bother trying to like get your magic back up and avoid losing any more, because it's not like, it's very unlikely that you're going to get enough damage to get the damage back up and it still be worth it. So at this point, just like full send like the triple strike breaks, because I mean, maybe you can decide better like whatever threshold you want to do that on, but yeah, at some point it's not worth it, because like you'll be so far into the fight, and you're not going to get it back. You're better off just guaranteeing free hits that aren't quite as powerful. But yeah, that is everything I really had to say about this route. I think some parts of it I might have not been super exhaustive or clear, because talking for this long sort of fried my brain, particularly in the first recording session. But again, feel free to just like, you can ask questions in the comments, or you can come ask in the Discord. I don't mind being pinged for anything. Always happy to help more. I will say, probably not the best place to say this at the end of the video, but there is a different, slightly like a variation of the route that if you don't like, if you really are not a fan of Solar Wind and you just want to use slide only, Labras actually has been doing runs of a slight variation where after you get Cling Gem and you come out of tower, you just ignore Bailey and you do the rest of the route as follows, until you come out of Underbelly, at which point you do empty Bailey, and then you get Solar Wind, and then you go to the end of the game. We're pretty sure that is just like, that's just a slower route, but it was preferred for him. Although I think he's going to be changing at some point, because reaching a bit of a ceiling with that route. But that is a thing that you can do. But yeah, most of the strats that I shown in this video aren't going to work for that. But I just thought I'd mention that that is a thing, and if you want more information about it, you can ask about it too. I might do a follow-up video at some point with some out of bounds stuff, because the 100% out of bounds is effectively the exact same route. It just has some out of bounds shortcuts sprinkled in at certain places, like 4 or 5 maybe out of bounds things. So I might do a follow-up video that just like showcases those, because once you've learned this, you've learned effectively that whole run apart from the glitch parts. So yeah, I mean, only two of us have actually run that category at the moment, but that might happen. But yeah, thanks for watching. Hopefully this is somewhat useful. It's more just meant to be less like a reference guide for any particular part you might be stuck at. And I just hope more people run 100% as a result of this video.